I got to watch the decision and the people not wrapping belts in the middle of a crowded sports book. Honestly, too crowded. I look like somebody from the movie Outbreak, but that was obviously not, just more of a tribute person. It's time for Verbal Tap, the show that proves fighting way easier from outside the cage. Not as easy when you're trying to get inside the sports book as Francis Ngannou is being named heavyweight champion of the world. Raph, you were doing some live commentary. How are you?
I'm good. We had a lot of friends watching us on our strength and mobility fight companion, and we did something very nice. We started a new trend, which is the outgoing fight companion host will then provide the beer selection for the incoming fight companion host. So I got to surprise my good friend Sven with some selections from our good friends over at the Milton Aguayo's Mixed Martial Arts Academy. And I'll tell you this, he sent me a text the next day saying how much fun he had. And then maybe 8 hours later, he sent me a gif of Kristen Wiig going, "I'm ready to party," to let me know that's how drunk he actually was on camera, and it was not far off. So, yeah, we had a great time, and I appreciate them. So shout out to them. And Casey, we're going to pull you on in a second here. But, Kev, before we announce the guest officially, and people should know because if they listened to last week, they know who it is this week. I got a text this week of somebody being a little sad. I don't know that he was angry, but they were a little sad. So you may recall at the very end of the episode, we did reveal that somebody put Casey to sleep and in training. And it just so happened the person who did it was listening to the show. And they sent me a note. They're like, "Raph, come on, man. Come on, you're making me out to seem like a villain." And I go, "Well, aren't you?" And he goes, "No, we were training." And I go, "And you're the upper belt." And he goes, right. But the way I heard it was that I sounded like the villain. So we're not officially airing an apology. We're just airing an explanation that Angel is an incredible teacher at Systems Training Center. I would highly encourage you to go see him. And yes, maybe factually, he did put our guest, Casey Leydon, to sleep, but he's also building him up into the monster we know for the Wimp to Warrior program. Casey, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing wonderful, sir. Doing wonderful. I discovered I snore when I fall asleep. I didn't know that. I'm a snorer.
I've been put out too, so I know it's not fun. And I told people that because they always ask, like, what happens when you go out? When I went out, my first thought was, let everybody know I'm okay. So nothing freaked everybody out more than me coming back to life and saying, I'm okay. So
I'm doubling down the other way when you all are ready to throw it to me, because I feel only more resolved in my anger, and I'm prepared to defend Casey's honor.
Okay.
Well, this isn't Flatliners. We're training partners. We're not trying to see the ghost light. Angel. Okay. I think Gabriel was an angel, and he started hell, Raph, and that's a biblical reference, and I've never read it. Not cover to cover. I don't have that kind of time. There's a lot of different versions. Either way, it's always a slippery slope. I don't trust a self-branded angel. You know what I'm saying? It's like if somebody's name is Spike, they probably can't fight. We know it.
It is unfortunate because Angel is one of my really, really good training partners. So I train often with him.
Take it out on Raph. You can find him at your local gym. You should feel free. I speak for him.
He does not have to look hard to find me. He literally knows we train on a fairly regular basis. So, no, it's easy to find me. Casey, what has been the best part of training over at Systems for you? Because they've been the hub of the Wimp to Warrior for you. And, I've sent you a note, and I was very excited when I saw that you were training with them. But what has been the best thing about training with them so far?
I think the consistency, because this is the first time I've really been in a gym consistently since the whole pandemic thingy. Mm-hmm. So it was just different. It's just a new body, completely. I didn't know anyone in the class. It's like, I guess the other gyms I've been to, it's just other smaller gyms. Like, I kind of knew everyone there, but this one I was kind of came in as a complete stranger. No one knew me, which I kind of liked. And so it's just in that consistency of freaking we're in week 16 or 17 now of, waking up at 5 o'clock every morning to make sure I'm at the gym on time. And just make sure I'm ready. And that's just been a thing. Like, I never, ever, 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 ever thought I was going to be one of those morning jiu-jitsu people, or morning people in general. But like,
yeah,
it's weird. Like, here I am. That's me now. And then after this is done, I'm like, oh, I think I want to continue to take 6 o'clock classes or something stupid and very adult-like.
Okay, you don't have to. There were other times we host and do jiu-jitsu.
Raph did this for a while. I recall your early jiu-jitsu days. I have never been able to commit to the early jiu-jitsu. Anytime I've stumbled in, it's like seeing a Yeti. People are just shocked. I'm impressed.
I will tell you this, though.
It's a special brand. Yeah.
My theory on it, Kevin, is I won't get up for anything else except for jiu-jitsu. And now I have a lot more options to me, but some of my best training partners came out of those 6 a.m. sessions. So I'm not mocking that. I'm just letting you know, you not only now will have options, but Kev, he has mats in his place. So he has like all the tools that he needs. Like, we have to go somewhere to roll. He can literally just con people into coming to his place.
I wish I could say it was that. If someone called me, they were like, Kevin, you can go be Tommy in that Tommy and Pamela Lee film in the past. They'd be like, God. Okay, what time do I have to arrive? They're like 6 a.m. It's like, sorry, got to find a new guy. Not interested.
God, can't wait for that. Okay, so Casey, the one thing I was going to tell you is you have a fight that looks like it's going to come up. I know you mentioned it on the last episode. We're still trying to. Yeah, we're still trying to figure out the exact timing of it. The only thing I was going to tell you is I was going to say, oh, you know what? I would shoot some of those photos, and then I remembered you kind of know the best photographer in the world for all of combat sports. And I was like, oh yeah, I could get. Oh God, no, I can't. Not even anything remotely that good. So I will probably snag you some shots if I go, and they will be the equivalent comparatively to someone using an iPhone giving you a photo on there. I'm pretty sure if you compare the two. But I guess what I'm saying is this, Casey. You're in good hands. I mean, I'm very excited to see how that's going to come together. We'll keep people updated here. Gents, let's go ahead and transition over to a little bit of the recap. I'm going to start with this. Kevin, did Francis Ngannou make Dana so mad that he didn't come to the post presser? Or was it just a coincidence?
I have to ask you, this is the first time I've seen something in public in years because of, as Casey so eloquently put it, that pandemic thingy. I really like that. I thought it'd be power. I took away the power. It's like a hurricane sounds badass. It's like if we call it a wind thingy, it's really difficult to take seriously. I was glued to it because obviously Dana's there. This is the biggest fight they've had in a long time. Everybody from the coverage leading up to their continuous issues. Every time they've been at odds with a fighter, the audience is typically interested, and this was no exception because there's a big stakes here from the fighter clause, the champions clause, right? His contract's up. They're only keeping him because he's the champ. So does he, throw the inadvertent knee as it was suggested by some pundits in the business? Nope. Beat Cyril Gain. I've heard some people like Cyril, and it's like, can we go
Cyril
Cyril
gone
so it's evil,
is
please?
where we're going. Yeah,
Cyril gone. Yeah, I just fuck up the last name. And then Dana doesn't come out. People in the Cosmopolitan lost their shit. I hear Norgay be like, where the fuck you at, Baldy? Where you at, Baldy? Just screaming at the television. It is exploding. The masks are gone. It's as though there is no thingy. We are I'm again previously like duct taped an N95 mask to my face, my cock, everything, just to make sure. You got to be careful when you're out in public, especially at the Cosmopolitan. You might trip and fall. They were livid. I have to say, from the Cosmopolitan, which I will speak on behalf, Raph, yes, they made him so mad. He refused, and didn't he also refuse to show up to the presser?
Yes.
So
Well, he
doesn't
just
strap.
didn't. I don't know that he refused. I think that is a strong word. It's just a very big coincidence that he didn't wrap the belt around his waist.
You're
and
right.
Then
he's known
he
not to
didn't
take a
show up.
victory lap in these moments and talk for 45 minutes about the world's most exciting fight game. You're right. He would never do that.
So, Casey, we're going to come to you. You are familiar with the Bald Father in ways that maybe might have been Kevin and I may be familiar with. But do you think that was the case? And then follow-up question, what do you think is a good strategy? Telling your fighter that, you might have some contract problem thingy before a fight, or maybe, I don't know, wait till after and just kind of mention like, BT dubs. Dana, not very happy. We had some contract talkies with our good friends, the Paul brothers boxing thing. Go on.
Well, as far as the second part, it's like, was it good advice from his manager to go, oh, by the way, they're suing us or they're going to sue us? Hell yeah, that's smart advice. Like, dude, like Francis, he fights with a chip on his shoulder. You know, it's like he could have pulled out this fight. You know, he wanted to do this, and like he was like, "Oh, what?" And they want to sue me. Oh, I'm definitely gonna win this fight. Who knows? Maybe that was enough. That was enough for him to win that fifth round. Like those little things. Like, oh yeah, it's just my respect for Francis. Not only as a fighter, but just as like F the system, just like through the roof. Through the freaking roof. I love it.
Would you want to know, Casey? Would you want them to tell you in the fight room? Okay, Angel's sitting there like, sorry I choked you out, but do you want the update before you go out there?
Wow. I mean, no one's choking out Francis, but yeah, sure. Yeah, I like to know.
Okay. I'm with you. I had actually, Raph, I was with you. I was like, why the fuck would you tell him that? And now I'm like, love it. Hey, I'm going to send this giant human through a brick wall with anger. I'm ready.
I'll be honest. I know there are some people in my inner circle who, if I was cornering, I'd be like, this is information we're telling them later. But there is a certain caliber of person, not that I'm withholding information on them. It's just, yo, bro, not only is your leg compromised, these people clearly aren't respecting you. You're the marquee name in this, so you do have some leverage right now. And what's been interesting is this campaign he's taking, because one, in the post-fight interview, it was kind of like, oh, oops, did we say boxing? But then in the post-presser, it became, yeah, I'd love to comment on my future, but I'm not going to go into that. And he had the most polite, no, thank you. That I think I've seen in some time, because they were legitimately trying to get him to answer questions about, where does he see himself? Is he boxing in the UFC? Is he going to go do something else? If he's going to go somewhere else, what does that mean? He just goes, I don't know yet. We'll find out. Thank you. And they did a follow-up and he goes, thank you. And I said, shit, yeah, that's great. Good for you. That's a good answer, because he is in the middle of a very public spat. And guess what? The next day when he goes on Ariel Helwani, he goes even further, and it's hard not to be rooting for him. I saw people on my social media timeline who said, I wasn't rooting for this guy, but now he had a lot more that he was fighting for, I can see.
How could you not root for him? I think even Cyril was kind of, after he beat him, was like, go get that money, man. I don't think I can't. Dude, Stipe Miocic, like everyone. Have we seen, maybe outside of maybe Colby Covington? I don't know, who is anyone publicly going, nah, Francis, sit down. Take your
I don't think an entity, but man, what a time to get paid in crypto, because don't know if people will be listening to this in the future. There were definitely some hits on the stock market in the crypto region. And it was kind of like, yay, he's getting paid in crypto, which then turned into, oh, yay, he's getting paid in crypto. Ugh. I hope he's okay. Plus, you get taxed at the highest rate. So, yay, we're rooting for you, Francis. Just want to make sure you're good, pal.
Is this the most effed the UFC's ever been in conjunction with a fighter? Because to me, I had the reaction, and I'm curious if you all feel this way, because the story isn't the fight, and it should be. The story hasn't been any of the other fights, and it should be. The story now has become both good TV and incredibly horrible for ESPN, who now appears to be kind of complicitly endorsing some insane business tactics. One of them being the market share revenue story has been almost the first thing anyone's talking about with a lot of these fights. This, I think, is incredibly damning for that part of it because it feeds right into that same line of he's gotten so popular. They're like, hey, we don't need you. We get paid for how many fights, not how good they are. Does this start to rattle some Dana White security?
Casey?
I don't think so. Honestly, I think the brand name the three letters are so freaking big. I mean, yeah, they want to keep Francis, but they also want to pay him dirt. They don't want to pay him boxing money, but they're willing to let him go. I think they're willing to let anyone go, as long as the three letters and Dana White are like the marquee. That's the reason you're going. They don't care. Like they'll put up whatever. People will still pay money and they'll show up. And like the price point, the revenue share is so incredibly high. And if the fighters are cool with that, then that's just how it's going to be. I honestly don't think. I think they're mad, but they'll make it. They'll get through it.
Raph?
I mean, I get the impression. Go ahead, Kay. Sorry.
I'm being a bit pessimistic. I mean, I hope this is like a revolution, and I think in the end this will be good for Francis. But I don't know. It's so many things can happen this year. So many things. I think it's going to be such an incredible year.
You're just
the cage.
Letting history take as
I'd say
the
realistic
precedent here.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I don't think you're being
probably
pessimistic.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is more of a case of history leads us to believe this because there are people who the UFC championed, I don't know, maybe as ambassadors going all the way back to Randy Couture, who have essentially been erased from their history. And that is after they spend a significant amount of time where they say, look at this guy, he's the best ever. And then you have Francis Ngannou, who beat people who the UFC said, oh my God, they're the best, they're the greatest. Now they just kind of temper that and say, like, yeah, he's okay. Yeah, he won okay. He won good. Oh, he wrestled now? Oh, that's kind of boring, right? Yeah, it used to be fun when you used to punch people, but now you wrestle them. I think they're going to find whatever narrative they can to shoot him down.
I mean, of course, that's the crazy part. But I don't think the fans will ever not believe in the three letter UFC as like the premier everything in the sport, because I mean, Dana White, he's literally the promoter. That is his job. Francis Ngannou just had an amazing victory, and all he has to do is just grab a mic from Megan O'Leary and just go, oh my God, that guy is amazing. He's the baddest man on the planet. Not only can he knock you out, now we can wrestle you. You can't stop him. Do your job, man. That's your job. That's your only job. And then close the door and they'll be all, angry Dana, like, I'm not going to talk to, Francis, blah, blah. Just do your job, man. Like, everyone else has to do it. Come on.
Yeah.
I think you're now pointing out the argument for this being a bigger issue. You're right.
Maybe.
It's just so easy. And you even see it. Like, I was trying to think of when is the boss this much in a fight with its most star product, which I think Ngannou's in that top 3 range, but it's heavyweight. Heavyweight always. People want to see heavyweights. And it's like, all I could think of is when Goodell, basically suspended Tom Brady for maybe having flatter footballs. And that moment where I just don't ever remember Goodell, like, not showing up to the Super Bowl because the Patriots were there. He's like, that doesn't happen. It's such an interesting small dip. And I do think for the first time, his phone rang. I just think it did. I think Sunday morning, he's lucky he has the NFL football and the Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills to thank for this not being a larger story, but I think for the first time his phone rang. That's my guess.
I'll leave with
this. Yeah.
I'll leave with just these names real quick, just so we can kind of put some context to how this is maybe slightly egregious. Miocic, Dos Santos, Velasquez, Overeem, Arlovsky, Hamilton, Blades. Those are all people that Francis Ngannou has beat. So if they're going to raise the profile of any of those other people or ever talk about them in a very, very positive light, it's kind of hard not to put them in a positive light mention. And I think they'll find a balance between like, this is respectful enough, but fuck that guy. Because that's generally how they do their practices. The whole him having conversations with the boxing thing, I'll say this. As a fan, when you got Gypsy King over there, Fury saying like, hey, you want to make real money, come fight me. And I thought, what better time to go be a boxer after you've demonstrated what a wrestler you are now? Great. Excellent work here, everybody. This is exactly the fight we want to see. But I can't even say that because all I'm thinking about is go get paid.
But we know. Yeah. And then we know the story of the fight, how he went in there with a completely ripped knee. Like you watch the first 2 rounds and him saying like, he's like, oh, Francis looks kind of timid. Looks kind of like, oh man, Strogan's gonna really like just piece him apart. It's because he was walking on one freaking leg. And like he goes, oh, you know what? I gotta do this. And like once you realize that, like that makes him even so much more dangerous as a fighter, as a boxer, as anything. It's like that guy is unstoppable. Is Tyson Fury the guy that's gonna knock him out cold? I don't know, but I want to see it. And like that, and like that's what Dana White should be saying.
Bring on Fury. Bring on Fury. Yep.
Yeah, and Dana White should be like walk out there and throw a Zuffa boxing shirt on Francis Ngannou. Like, let's do this.
So we got him special gloves. Look at these.
Yeah.
They've got his face on them. Look out, everybody.
Now that
the money's there to be made, man. Just like they
make
just
money. Yeah. This is ESPN's fault. They made them have to stop thinking with their brains. Now they get to exclusively think with their asses, which they've been working on. It's frustrating because this would have been fun. They play like that music. They get, I don't know. Is Don Cheadle out there? Will Don Cheadle come announce it? It's like Francis Ngannou. He's ready to knock your boxing heavyweight the fuck out. Like that would have been amazing. Yeah. Jamie Foxx is available. He's on the internet.
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
Speaking of career changes, this one's interesting because we're going to get to the co-main in a second. There's a lot to talk about on that one too. I guess I could bring this up because I've commentated with Vanessa. Did not know about her past. That was a big surprise to me. So we're talking about the past here, Kevin, which is after she won, she revealed that she was an exotic dancer for years and had 13 years specifically, and that she credited her armbar technique to being a stripper. And all I could think about was, I was like, yo, I never knew that. And I thought we had people who knew that. And all I could think of was, I was like, well, first of all, that's dope. Because awesome. I'm so happy for her. But second, I was like, yo, I thought is this something that only I didn't know? Did everybody else know and I didn't? Because it just caught me by surprise.
A long-standing slight that has gone to the exotic dancing community. It's athletic as fuck. It is not surprising to me at all. Just like the Martinez brothers are like, yeah, we used to break dance. It's like, yeah, your funky ass jiu-jitsu makes perfect sense now. Of course you did.
But let's be honest, Kevin. It's not a surprise like, oops, it works together really nicely. It's just like, oh, I just didn't know. And you know what? I'm not supposed to, I guess.
You should. Can I take a minute to berate you
Please,
quick?
Sure. Go ahead, Kevin.
This is something I would skate past. Now, sure, usually exotic dancing history is my forte. This is something you bring to the show. And I thought I was working with 2 professionals tonight. But here I am, stripperless in my knowledge. Even though I was in Las Vegas, I could have gone to the place to see if they were celebrating maybe a little extra. That would have been nice. But no.
Strippers all around gathered around the pole and gave a large standing ovation. Yeah, no,
they're
that would have
just
been
like
dope.
they're offering out arm bars in the VIP room. Yeah, shit's gonna get wild. But no, I was robbed that because my information and research department, has, they've been busy. I get it.
Hey, listen, all I could think of is we're a pro stripper podcast. So
Massively feminist in that regard.
this was the easiest
Yeah.
conversation to go, damn, good for her. But at the same point, shit. Then I started thinking about, how most people do seminars once they're an athlete? Like, think about the money you could make combining jiu-jitsu and strippering.
Oh my gosh!
Think
in
of
Denver
the money.
alone, we have so many of those pole dancing places. They're amazing. I've done one. Go ahead, Casey.
Well, actually, the first thing I thought when Miss Demopoulos kind of said that she's retiring, I was like, what are you doing? This is like, now you have a little fame. Now this is where you make the real money, ladies. Like, come on, like the cage fighting thing just sets you up with the real money in the pole dancing community. I mean, that's where it's at, So like, she's got to work both angles, here. It's like, so I was just like, I get what she's doing, but I think she's leaving a lot of money out there on the table.
Maybe she's pulling a
here.
Cejudo.
Wow.
She's got a
Hold on,
Cejudo mentality.
Kevin, don't let him get past any of this. All of that phraseology is, I just want to make sure that we're quoting him right. She needs to work all the angles, and she's leaving money on the table. Casey Leydon.
Casey's got a bachelor party coming up.
There we go.
You don't realize it. Yeah.
The last time I was in a what do you call it? Those stripper clubs, whatever. It was actually during Mayweather strip club. Yeah, what's the name they call them now? I don't know.
Still it, I think.
It was when I was yeah, that's still it. That's the classic
Change
name.
that one yet.
Me and Aaron Hawani were interviewing Floyd Mayweather before the Conor McGregor fight, and it was like 3:30 in the morning at Girl Collection in Vegas, and we had to wait for about 4 to 5 hours in this kind of special booth upstairs. And the whole time I was watching these women pole dance, and they had one of those 20-foot poles. Like it was very dangerously tall. And I was just thinking, and the whole time me and Aaron were like, they are freaking athletic. That's all we were watching. Yeah. Like 3 or 4 hours. I'm dead serious. This is like, after a while, you just see it's like, wow. So when I heard all this, I'm like, duh.
Well, we have to take a moment to also praise Ariel, who's had a good 2 weeks from the Bill Simmons pod to just getting Francis Ngannou's side of the story, which, Ref, is maybe why you don't, and this is purely me again, if I was the spokesperson for the UFC, right? Obviously, I'm not. But this is maybe why you also don't completely shun the only real, the must-watch journalist at the end of these events, and Dana White it's like, this was perfect. So, had a good few weeks.
Kevin, the dumbest part of this whole conversation is all I hear is you screaming at me, Raf, you need to go to more strip clubs to be the grappling version.
I was
of
actually
Ariel.
making a note to send that to Verbal Tap Legal to be like, does this mean I can bring up strip clubs again with Raf as meeting places? Because you've had an injunction on it for several years, and I believe you've just heard you were
You
wrong.
just can't have the buffet right now because of COVID. It's just, listen, dude, I want a double dip.
Buffet.
No, you can't share that shit. It's just not safe.
Safety first, guys. Safety first.
A 20-foot
Safety
pole
first.
doesn't scare me all of a sudden, but now you've got me thinking about the next Fox drama, High Pole, where people do acts at 30 feet above the ground. Yeah.
You say that, but when I produce that game show and you wonder, did that come from? And I look at you and I go, I have no idea where it came
last time
from.
Rap
And
and
I
I
work under a
spoke.
pseudonym. It
This
was the
is
last.
our-
It was where
This is our
we
McKay
broke
Farrell
up.
moment, but
Yep.
some of us didn't quite make it there, as you can see. It's fine. It's me
A stripper
screaming at a
show
bar.
would have been our Yoko Ono on this show. Okay,
I'm gonna
listen,
hire that
Casey,
guy from the Cosmo to be like, "Hey, Baldy, you fucking hiding?" He was hilarious.
So, Casey, let me ask
Yes,
you:
sir.
how'd you have the co-main event scored? Was it right? Was it wrong?
I unfortunately scored it for Figueiredo, even though I really, really, really wanted Moreno to win. And if you told me Moreno won the fight and the judges told 3-2 Moreno, I've been like, absolutely cool, not a robbery. And my really only takeaway from that fight was, good Lord, these men are fast and mean and awesome fighters, and they better do this a fourth time. That's it.
Oh, see, I'm in on the fourth too, Raph. Just as a side note, as someone that arrived seconds too late to the Cosmo to see this.
I think they are doing a fourth. I don't know if they really have any. I mean, Davidson Figueroa almost seemed to be signaling like, yeah, there's some other people I could visit right now. This is cool. But how do you not have a fourth? It was really good. And I think it's only built Brandon Moreno as a star. I think he had an incredible reception. People really felt him. They were talking about maybe doing it, Mexico. They were pitching out Brazil. They kept pitching out all these different things. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I don't really care where it is. I just think, why would you not take this momentum and stick with it? It's still compelling. Everybody else in the division probably still wants to see it themselves. It's really good. And, like, there's inherent drama that you don't even have to build up anymore. It's just they don't like each other. When they ask Brandon Moreno, when you think you've fought somebody 3 times, they're like, do you have that man's respect or do you respect him? And he's like, he's all right. And they go,
Brandon Moreno, like, he's the happiest man on the planet, except for that guy. I don't like him.
Right. They're like, well, what did you say to him? He's like, I kept it professional. Okay, cool. So are you guys cool? Would you fight him again? Yes. How do you feel you did? I think I won. Meanwhile, Davidson, oh, yeah, I won that. That's cool. If he wants to do it again, probably, maybe. Anybody want to see me fight anybody else? No? Okay, well, then maybe we'll do it. Anyway, I'm going to take some photos with my crew up here, if that's cool with you guys. There's something there. And I just, as I was watching it, I noticed as we were asking people to keep scorecards, which is one of the things that we do on our Fight Companions, I looked around at everybody and I said, how'd you score it? And everybody was kind of all over the place. And I said, I can kind of see how you scored this, or I can kind of see how you scored that. But there was something intriguing about watching how people interpreted those rounds. And for me, it looked like not only the damage or the power or the output, but for Figgy, it just looked like, man, when he picked his shots, they seemed to look like they were taking Brandon off of his game. And I think that might have had a lot to do with the way that people looked and viewed that. Not just the power, but just the way how frustrated Moreno looked. And I thought, man, that spoke volumes, I think, to the judges, even if it looked like he was still jabbing and staying in there as much as he was.
I'm just sad. Love me some Moreno. But Figo Weirdo did it. It's finally back.
He is back.
I think the most exciting part about that co-main event, if they run it back the 4th time, I think this can be the first time in a very long time that the UFC can legitimately run, if they do it in the proper city, legitimately run a flyweight title fight as the main event of a pay-per-view.
Fair.
And that's exciting.
That is very exciting. I think that's a good point. And why not? We're hurting for these events all the time. They're going to run out of champions. One already is looking like he's going to CM Punk his way out with the title in a second. I just think, there's something here. Everybody seems to like this. Why not give us what we want? The question is how soon, because it looked like already by the end of it, those two look just fine. And I think there's a mutual feeling amongst everybody who watches these fights that just goes, man, that for $75, maybe it doesn't justify 100% of that $75, but those two men did all of their part and then some for everybody else on this card. So between them and the main event, I was pleased, but still it was $75, and I was sitting there multiple times going like,
oh yeah,
this is some bullshit. You know what I mean? Anyway, I would say this though, with Davidson Figueroa, maybe this is just a selfish thing because I love the Lego kid. He's a good kid. I really like him. But there was something special about the return of the drip god, Davidson Figueroa. Kevin, did you see what he was wearing at the post presser?
I did not see what he was wearing at the post presser.
Oh my God. It's one of my favorite things about him is the amount of drip on what he is wearing at all times. I looked at that and I said, shit, I don't want to sell out Moreno all that much, but the drip god's return is well come back. Kevin, I'm going to send this over to you. Like, I'm not telling you to get me this because I think there's too much expense for the show.
Over under the UFC Banff belt.
I think it's over.
Oh, yeah. I like this. Yes. He looks like the snake from the movie Anaconda, the J-Lo one. Fucking awesome.
Okay, since we spent some time on these fights, let's go ahead and very quickly bullet point some of these. Casey, did you have any fights that stuck out to you on the rest of the card?
2 fights in particular. Syed Nurmagomedov's incredible guillotine, like whatever ninja choke on Stamen in under a minute. Like, who the freaking does that to Stamen? It was just incredible. And it was like, oh, it looks so painful that just like that forearm across the trachea. Oh God, I was like, oh God. And of course, freaking Southgate's own amazing fight. And I don't want to say I was surprised because I picked Henry to win. I know he was the biggest underdog on the card, but he looked better than I even thought he was, honestly. And I think Ryan Barcelos is such an incredible fighter. I think he's like one of the. I actually think Ryan Barcelos is probably the most underrated bantamweight in the UFC. And Victor Henry beat the crap out of him for 15 minutes. And he didn't even get to show his grappling. And when I think of Victor Henry, I think of him as an incredible grappler. And like I knew he had kind of flashy striking, but like it blew me away how good his boxing was and just how good his angles and movements and just feints and just he was just, man, it was awesome. It was awesome watching it. And then we got on the mic, just said all the right things, man. So happy for Victor Henry.
Yeah, that was impressive. I was very happy for him. I would also like to say to Matt Frivola, congratulations on winning 1.5 fights. That stoppage should have happened so much sooner, and I had so much anxiety as I was watching it happen. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to set up camera equipment. Look who I'm talking to here. Have you tried to set up camera equipment where then because something is happening and you go, they should stop this fight, but you almost drop one of your lights or one of your camera equipment pieces here, Casey? Because that happened to me a couple times this weekend.
That was yeah, like I think Valdez got dropped 5 times in that round. So congratulations, Mr. Valdez. Even after the fight was stopped, he was like, "I'm good to go." I do one of my favorite things in fights is seeing a guy get just his ass handed to him, and the ref stops the fight, and the first thing he does is like, "What did you do that for, man? I was just getting started." I was like, I love those guys. That's one of my favorite.
Yeah,
if anybody's ever rolled with me, they know that's about how it works. So I don't think they'd be all that surprised. Kevin, I think it might be time to get into the results. Do we have some results for him?
We do. I'm going to go down the card.
Okay.
We both had Della Maladalne. I had Demopoulos because I had apparently I had it into it. You know, I knew. He had Gomez Juarez. We both had Vieira. I had Barcelos, and he had Henry. And you could have made some damn fine money if you had listened to him on that one. We both had Giles. That fight, we did not win. I had Vieira. He had Turman. I feel like I lose almost half a point on that because Vieira pulled out. Does anyone know why?
So I think it was undisclosed reason. The other one was fat. So one was undisclosed, maybe COVID. The other one fat.
Cool. I thought, I heard they both. Turman must have been so excited when he's like, Vieira might cancel?
Let me point this out. I get this shit asked to me all the time. It's like, I put up the information on our page, and then I get somebody inevitably who goes, why? And I go, no, read it. You know. I posted the article so you can read it. Anyway, go on.
We both had Moreno. That was tough. I just said he had Hansen. I had Topuria, he had Jourdain. That fight also gone. We both had Frivola. We both had Nurmagomedov. He had Gravely winning. I had Simon Olives. And then we both had the Ngannou. And if you are keeping score at home, that brings us to an even 7-7 tie, Raf. A rare tie. We lost 2 fights. That's a big one. And that takes us into the overtime rounds, where this mofo correctly predicted Moreno Figs as the fight of the night, except the mofo he's talking to predicted Nurmies would get a performance of the night, Raph, meaning
Correct.
we are at our extremely bizarre, I believe has only happened once before, full-on tie.
Yes, it is an unbreakable tie, unfortunately. So, I should explain how this will work. You just both have to do it.
I don't remember.
That's really
I didn't
how it
get
goes.
to what we had to do. I had a ranch
Yeah.
water something challenge of some kind here.
So
holy
there's
shit.
the inappropriate fist pose here. There's the putting over on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would have to go back and listen to the specifics on what you guys have to do after that.
Ranch
but
water
that's
fist pose photo. I'm in.
Was that the last one or was that this one?
No, see,
ranch
the last
water.
one was
Did we
ranch
talk about
waters.
ranch water on this one?
Yeah, there was a few.
Okay. I think that it was.
But I think I offered the fist. I was going to recreate the he's in a Speedo photo. We'll have to listen.
Ooh.
I don't think you have to recreate the Speedo photo. A tie does not mean you have to go that embarrassing. Let's
tie,
be real.
the public doesn't deserve that for a tie. They only deserve that
No.
if I lose. Like the
if you had
public's not-
lost, I would have been like, "Oh, fuck you, Kevin, you're doing it." But
strap up,
I
get your
think
ass
both
out in
of
the
you-
snow. Yeah.
Both of you have to do the inappropriate fist or ice cream cone, and you got to put the other over on video. And we will do it in anticipation of Casey's upcoming fight. So we will put you over on that as we get closer to that.
Sounds good.
And then Casey, you do it at a time that's convenient to you. If it helps to even promote your fight as well, that's fine. We're very pleased with that. But Casey, before we get you on out of here, a couple things. Number one, tell the people where they can find you. Where can they go see your work? Because they don't always get to see what you're doing. I know that you're doing a lot of directing behind the scenes too. So let the people know where they can find you, sir.
Lately, because I've chosen not to travel as much, I'm on many MMA fighting podcasts. If you go to our YouTube channel, just pretty much post-fight and preview shows for every UFC event, and you will see my stupid face and my awesome voice. That is where to find me.
That's great. And you're obviously on all of the social medias. We appreciate you, Casey. And before we get you on out of here, we'll just remind the people, get behind Wimp to Warrior. It's a great program. Go visit our friends over at Systems Training Center. They are quite good teachers, I promise you. And as a final note, Casey, if you need any additional grappling training, I am at your service. Please just let me know. We'll mark out some time to go train, sir.
That is, I look forward to our date.
Absolutely. And Kev, I think that's going to do it for us this week.
At E. Casey Leydon, I'm Kevin. Thanks for listening.
Good night and good fight.
Good night.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is